Iran is not a democracy. I mean, they can.
That's a lie. They are a democracy.
Yeah.
Now, they're not a full-fledged, full-on democracy, but they're a partial democracy because they have a president that gets elected by the supreme leader. They have a parliament. So, like, they absolutely are democracy.
Twofold government, and a lot of people don't know that. They think it's just this complete theocratic regime, which to a degree, the theocratic regime has a little bit more autonomy, but they do have a system of democracy in which actually the president partakes in. So, the religious leader partakes in.
Yeah,
so,
dude, the supreme leader votes for the fucking president, bro.
Yeah, a lot of people don't
know
that.
And it's not beneficial.
It's not beneficial for mainstream media in the United States or anybody in the West really to emphasize the fact that they do exercise some form of democracy, because that wouldn't motivate any more appetite for a war in Iran. That would actually liken them to us in terms of being civilized people.
Me and my brother have got some criticisms, which I want to really address real quick, where people say that we're like pro-Iranian, we love the IRGC or some other, or jihadi supporters, whatever. Let me be explicitly clear with you fucking retards. You guys got to understand that the mainstream narrative in America is basically this. The Iranians are irrational. They're a bunch of terrorists. They're not measuring their responses. They're crazy people that are trying to get a nuclear bomb. They run a dictatorship. They kidnap women off the streets and make them put hijabs on. Like, there's so much propaganda. Oh, they killed 40,000 of their own civilians. The reason why, right, a lot of our commentary is going to come off as pro-Iranian is because we're simply telling you guys that a lot of the stuff in Western media is a lie. Me and my brother, to be honest with y'all, don't give a fuck. You guys have heard my brother make jokes on Shiites. Like, you guys have heard me say that the regime is incredibly inept when it comes to some of their economic, stances and what they're doing, right? By being in sanctions for so goddamn long, et cetera, being hard-headed, retarded diplomacy. But we also have to be very honest and understand that a lot of because the reason why, so here's the other thing too I got to say. The reason why a lot of you guys come to that conclusion of, well, you guys are pro-Iran, whatever. The fact that you're even saying that tells me that you've been hit with the propaganda super fucking hard. Does that make sense, chat? Like, the fact that we have to deprogram you from all the bullshit to even have a level playing field so that you guys understand really what the fuck is going on here literally speaks to the Western propaganda that you guys hear day in and day out on Fox News, CNN, etc. The reality is simply this, and I'm going to give you guys some numbers to explain this. I said this yesterday, so I'm going to say it again. Let's look at Israel. Israel's our greatest ally, right? On October 7th, roughly 1,200 Israelis were killed. How did they respond? They bombed the fuck out of Gaza. They waged the war into Lebanon. They waged a proxy war into Syria. They bombed the Houthis, and they bombed the Iranians. And then they went ahead and conducted a genocide and killed something between 70,000 reported, but probably more than likely hundreds of thousands of innocent people all across Gaza. This was for the murdering of 1,000 people, which, by the way, 300 of them were IDF. We don't know how many of them were killed by the Hamas versus how many were killed by the IDF, because we know the Hannibal Directive was activated on that day. Are you guys tracking with me? So let's say, being charitable here, we take away, no, it was 400 that were killed. So it was 1,200, 400 that were killed were IDF. Let's say 800, right? I'm going to be charitable. Let's say 800 Israelis, innocent Israelis were killed. Let's go with that. Now let's fast forward to June. How many Iranians were killed in Israel's Operation Rising Lion? Oh, well over 1,000. And the majority of them were civilians, okay? Civilians to include nuclear scientists and military. And I'll go ahead and I'll say, you know what, fair game. You can kill the nuclear scientists even though they're civilians, whatever, right? And they killed what, like 20 generals. But regardless, over 1,000 people, okay, were killed in Israel's operation. Now, let me ask you, how did the Iranians respond? They got their nuclear facilities destroyed. They got hit with a Pearl Harbor. 1,000 people got killed. Did they do a genocide? Did they wage a war on 7 different fronts? Did they invade multiple countries? Did they do a blockade and starve a bunch of children? No. I'll tell you how they responded. They responded by doing a symbolic strike back on the United States that was literally the same amount of missiles that they used and dropped on their nuclear facilities. They told them about it hours beforehand, and they told them exactly where they were going to bomb so that they could prepare their THAAD systems. And then when it comes to retaliating against Israel, their responses to Israel were completely measured because Israel did a blitzkrieg attack on them. Pearl Harbor killed 1,000 people, and they responded and retaliated by bombing them back.
Well, I was reading my comments the other day, and somebody said, well, you guys are getting this wrong, and this war is going to end really soon. I want you to keep in mind, I've been having to watch a little bit more left-wing media, actually, when it comes to the American side of politics and what they've been covering, because they've been more honest in their reporting as to how asymmetric this war is, why they don't have any vested interest in Trump looking good optically. They could care less about him actually getting any hegemony or winning in November, given the midterms. Likely the Republicans or the GOP is going to lose. They're going to come crashing and burning. Trump could even get indicted and impeached, but they will certainly lose the House. That's my bold prediction, at least for November. At this point, it's not bold. But regardless, you see a lot of people are jumping off the Trump train. And so people think that we're just, jumping on what seems to be popular, kind of getting into the motive, getting into the move, going where the wind is blowing. Not necessarily. I'm just more upset about this asymmetric war. And the fact that Trump started it, despite the fact that he banked on no new wars being one of his biggest promises in 2024 before he took the office. So that's kind of the biggest thing that we've been receiving backlash for in regards to our pro-Iranian takes, when in actuality it's pro-American, because what we care about is the United States not serving the interests of a foreign nation. And now you see Trump is trying to gaslight his NATO partners and saying, well, you've got to get involved in the Strait of Hormuz too. Our problem is your problem. And it's like, no, they don't want their soldiers to die for Israel. And they actually are on the right side of history. And so our problem isn't their problem, especially when we started a war that they never wanted to start in the first place. And what did Khamenei tell Trump, and what did Khamenei warn the Washington of before this war had started? He said this will be a regional conflict, something, by the way, that Charlie Kirk prophesied before he was assassinated back in September. He said a few months prior to him being killed that this would be an asymmetric war that would serve the benefit of Israel, as well as the fact that Iran would pull in all of our Gulf partners, in which they've effectively did. He predicted it perfectly. Trump also had the intelligence go ahead before he started this war. So our critique of Donald Trump is not because he's doing something in the Middle East or something that's not in favor of the United States or whatever. If intervention is needed for some sort of greater good, especially if it comes to the American people and peace in the Middle East and peace for the Sunni Muslims, then I'm all for it. But that's the exact opposite of what he's doing, and there's no benefit to this other than to serve, unfortunately, the only other alienated country in the region that nobody likes, but they have to serve the interests of, that being Israel.